Bryozoarch is one of the more infamous cards to be printed in Winds of Exchange. Unfathomable's disruption ability was leveled up from Dark Tidings to Woe, and Bryo is a perfect example of this, reading, when your opponent plays an action card, instead of resolving its play effect, destroy the creature on your left flank. This insane effect shuts down each and every action card in your opponent's deck, making their only use that of destroying your left flank creature. This means your TMTPs, your graphs, your board wipes, key cheats, lab works, draining touches, and Halifest and everything in between. None of them can be used for their intended purpose until Bryo leaves the board. He's typically placed as far right in the battle line as possible, to maximize the amount of action cards needed to reach him. With 5 creatures to his left, that would require 6 action cards to be nullified, blowing up each of those 5 creatures, then Bryo himself. Often, players can put creatures with destroyed effects off to the left as well, such as Martyr of the Vault, Kamalani, or the Flounderite Solef duo, so if you do play an action card, you get punished for it. Ideally, you could just fight Bryo off the board and be done with it, and usually this is a readily available solution. You may end up fighting with creatures you didn't originally intend to, but it's worth it to get rid of him. This can be a little tougher to do when he's protected, perhaps behind taunt or power boosted, or even warded, or maybe you just don't have any creatures to fight with. In this video, we'll explore some ways to deal with Bryo outside of action cards or the need to fight. If you ever find yourself in a sticky situation with Bryo across the board from you, take a look through your deck and see if you have any of these answers. It's always good to know which cards you have in your collection that can deal with this threat when it shows up. Since Bryo blocks actions, you'll need to find creatures and artifacts that can get the job done. One of my personal favorites is Numquid the Fair. Even if you're not behind on board, Numquid still lets you destroy one creature for free, so as long as Bryo's not warded, you should be all set. And of course, Numquid just gets even better the further behind on board you are. In a similar vein is Neutron Shark, allowing for the destruction of any creature or artifact you want on play. Then this next creature is more of a temporary fix, but Bubbles can put Bryo back on top of the opponent's deck. Hopefully this will give you enough time to construct a more permanent solution for future turns. Or you could bury him even further into the opponent's deck by playing Maelstrom right afterwards, piling a few more cards on top of him. One clever solution is Tactical Officer Moon, who lets you rearrange a player's battle line when you play her. With her play effect, you could put Bryozoarch on the opponent's left flank rather than their right, so it only takes 1 action card to kill. Even if that move would put Bryo next to taunt, you can move that taunt creature away wherever you'd like to negate that threat as well. Jackie Tar is a creature from Dark Tidings who deals 6 damage to a creature upon reap when the tide is high, which happens to be the perfect amount to take out Bryo. Broken Axe Outpost also deals 6 damage when you put a friendly creature on the bottom of its owner's deck. So again, as long as Bryo's not warded or power boosted, which it usually shouldn't be, Broken Axe should be a very workable solution. Board wipes are an option as well, though unfortunately most board wipes come in the form of actions. Thankfully there are a few that don't. Skixuno destroys everything upon play, the only drawback being that you have to end your turn after playing it. He also gets power boosted for each creature he destroyed, which is a nice plus. Key to Dis is a classic artifact that lets you wipe the whole board with no chains at any time in any house. The Pale Star is a pretty funky one, putting everything at 1 power 0 armor when it's triggered, including Bryo, meaning anything could fight into it and kill it. Even a single damage pip would be enough to one-shot it in that condition. General Order 24 is a little more complicated, would require some decent timing to pull off, and could technically be countered by the opponent with some proper strategy, but it could kill Bryo in the right circumstances. The weird and wacky Spangler box could let you purge it outright, as long as you're fine with giving control of it to the opponent. But honestly, being able to permanently rid yourself of Bryo is well worth it in my opinion, especially with the fact that since the opponent is probably playing a WoE deck since they have Bryo, they don't have access to logos to use Spangler box, unless they called it just to use Spangler box. As long as it doesn't leave play, Bryo is gone for good. The legendary Cyberclone does a similar thing, but is much less finicky and requires less setup, and doesn't include the risk of returning it to play. Cyberclone is the better and easier option of the two, but both work to purge it. Opal Knight destroys each creature with even power, so Bryo, at 6, would fall victim to that effect. If Bryo is directly on the opponent's right flank, Bullseye can instantly destroy upon reap. Snudge is a decent temporary solution, bouncing back to hand, but obviously next turn the opponent can just play it again. Painmail is a multi-turn answer, requiring you to call Dis twice for it to work, but is also pretty unique in that it's an upgrade. Anomaly Exploiter can be super clutch. If you can just get a little damage onto Bryo, Anomaly Exploiter can finish it off for you. The Mutants for Mass Mutation with their play effects can get you closer to killing it. You can start chipping away at Bryo with any creature that deals damage through play effects, like Brammo or Flamewake Shaman. The Big One and Strange Gizmo destroy every card on board when they trigger. You literally just need to be playing creatures for the Big One to blow up, while Strange Gizmo requires you to forge a key. General Sherman is another one of those funky temporary purge effects, but again can free you up for a while to play actions. Flounderite destroys the creature on the opponent's right flank when it's destroyed, while Sinestra punishes the opponent for putting creatures on their left flank to protect Bryo. And lastly, if you don't have any of these answers at your disposal, and fighting is your only real way to remove Bryo from the board, Poison can be super helpful for that. Creatures like Massus Asp or upgrades like Toxicuda Venom can make your life a lot easier in that regard, enabling even the smallest of creatures to take down the dreaded Bryozoarch. And there we have it. A whole bunch of ways apart from fighting and spamming dud actions to defeat Bryozoarch. Hopefully this helps you if you ever run up against him. He's easily one of the most threatening creatures in the game if he's not dealt with quickly, but thankfully there are more solutions to his presence than what may initially come to mind. Let me know of any cards or creative combos you found that can deal with him. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all again in the next one. See you later.